and then you want to look at what happens afterwards. So the conditioning bit is the beginning, where people begin to see that, look, there's something around here, and everybody knows they can feel it. There's the announcement bit I just spoke about there, and then there's the during bit, which is a very important bit. And maybe we just elaborate on that during bit. The thing is going on, people want to know what's happening, and how is it being dealt with.
But that's where you use every available resource you have. It's one-to-ones, it's managers locally, it's supervisors locally, it's emails, it's communication, it's whatever way you put it up as a podcast, everything is used. But it's back to what John was saying, it's about communication, not information. People have to be engaged in the conversation.
Face-to-face is the best one.
Yeah.
All the technology in the world is fine. And face-to-face, one-to-one, what does it mean for me?
And all the research says that people will believe information in an organisation if it comes from the most credible source. And the most credible source typically is 2 levels above you. So if you can get the message down coherently, that close to people.
I thought it was your direct reports, no?
1 or 2 levels above.
Two levels above.
Up to 2 levels above what the research says. So, if you can get down to that level of proximity and clarity, you have a chance.
I think there's a practical thing here too, Peter. When people are informed that there is going to be difficulties ahead and possibly redundancies of one shape or another, that's all they hear on the day. So giving them extra information is a waste of time. You can only absorb so much. So I think you've got to tell them then, the guys like ourselves would call it a charter of communications, but the reality of what you're saying to them, look, when are you going to be communicated next? Who's going to talk to you? We'll tell you anything that affects your role in time, and that's where you build the trust. And you have a right also to come to X, Y, and Z or whatever. So you lay out for them how it's going to happen in terms of communication, so that people aren't left in a void and they can absorb a certain amount of information, go home, think about it, and then come back. And who do they go to?
I think you have a great point there, because people want to see the devil and all on the day. Let me give you the background. We've pulled everybody together in the canteen. Let me give you the background. Get to the point. Right? How many of us are going? How many of us? When are we gone? And then there's no easy way. I've had people come in and they want kind of some way. Can we somehow spin it? How can you spin it? There is no spin. This is about people want at this stage. They want honesty. They want to know what are because one thing that happens here is your values as a company. No question about it. Your values are tested at this point, and how you behave at this point is the real company, not the one that's up with the values. The values up on the wall, and we can throw sugar at them. That's grand. But the values that we live when there's a problem are the values of the company.
That's how you're judged.
And the other piece around that, Peter, is a sense of inevitability. If people don't feel that this is going to happen, well then they don't mentally adjust. There's no movement in mindset. So, and sometimes managers thinking, because they don't want to deliver bad news, they kind of dim it down and fudge it because it's a negative message. And what happens is that people think, oh well, that might only happen.
It might happen.
And so they just pull back.
Which is why, back to the first question, sometimes this notion of planning and fixing a date, even allowing for as we know, it can be 25% more, you have to nail the date even for the senior team in terms of getting to a plan, because otherwise it's exactly that. They just, it's bad news, it's difficult, I'll just get around it. You can't. You have to nail it and just deliver it.
I think those timescales are important, because if you say we're going to have this done in 6 weeks and you do it in 6 weeks, that in itself is the most powerful communication. It shows you're serious about what you're going to do. If you're in an environment where deadlines are slipping all the time, no matter what you're saying, that in itself is a communication. I think there's a great saying about communications that I heard, which is you cannot not communicate.
That's right.
If I sit silent here this morning and say nothing, but people are taking a message about my silence. He knows nothing, or he's just not engaging. But a message is being communicated all the time.
That's right.
I think the consistency in managerial behaviour between actions and words. We all have war stories. You have to save money and cut costs, and the next day the chief executive's new car is delivered to you. I have lived that. And, people just stand back and look and say.
The other great one is, of course, we're off for secret meetings, and the place is full of talk about why are they all off site? Where are they today? What are they doing? What are they scheming?
The biggest communication you can get, and it will be a miscommunication, of course, is that the big off-site thing where they're going, and then the new guys arriving with suits and briefcases, we haven't seen around here before. But anyway, one of the things
I'm just going to say, I know we're getting towards the end of that, but to show the benefits of communication, I was involved in a company lately, and they communicated to staff that there were going to be redundancies of the order of 10 to 15%. Now, when they communicated it, the staff went away, and there was discussion amongst them, and they actually came back. Now, it wasn't a huge organisation, but there was certainly close to 3 figures, and came back and said that in block were prepared to take a pay cut equal to the amount of people who would have to leave, right across the board, and nobody lost their job.
Yeah, and I think today more and more that's happening. And do you know what that was? Well, here's me saying what that was. It was because they listened.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was two-way. And one of the things that I've seen, I don't know if you guys come across this, is we say, well, okay, we're a listening organisation, open door and all that kind of stuff, you know. That actually they're not a listening organisation. And the biggest problem that I've seen, we were involved with, for instance, there was a merger we were involved with recently as well, where people said, okay, send in your information or your queries, let us know, and they had a great centre for communication set up there. But when people sent their information up, it took kind of 2 weeks to come back.
Right.
You see, and what happens there is people set up a lovely process. And it's the process won't sort it for you. What will sort it for you eventually is the efficiency of the sort and also the quality of the communication that comes back. So they were waiting about a week and they were getting these kind of balls kicked to touch all the time coming back. So there was no communication happening. There was a process in place, but nothing happened. So I think if you set up a two-way communication, what you're doing is you're setting up a very high expectation.
Yeah.
And if you actually come in under the expectation, you're worse than if you never set it up.
Yeah.
But you're back to the very starting point that we said earlier about the capability of your managers at all levels to actually engage in that process.
Yeah.
And sometimes those managers need to be helped through it in a big way because they're your crucial axis. That's where the action takes place. Because if you're sitting at the top, you're not going to be able to touch people, no matter how much you go out and do, skip meetings or brown bag lunch or whatever you want to do. You know, you need to get it down the line and get people holding it.
And in doing that, we've all seen this here, is that when you're actually pulling your people together in the beginning of the communication process, you need your champions. And the champions are not necessarily the next level down from top management, they're champions within the organisation.
Well, it's like we asked the question, who are the leaders in this company? And someone says, well, the chief executive.
Yeah.
I would say, no. Leaders are everywhere. Especially at the sharp end with the customer.
Okay.
That's where the real leaders are, and that's where the real change agents are.
Listen, guys, I've just got the signal here that we're 30 minutes. It's 9 o'clock, and whatever about us, because we're going to sit back and have a cup of coffee, a real cup of coffee. Just finished. And but people out there are going to have to go to probably got 9 o'clock meetings or 10 past 9 meetings, and we're trying to make this as friendly and as useful as possible for people like who've got them. We think 8:30 is the right time. If you've got different ideas on that, would you let us know? If you think that, for instance, we should do it earlier or whatever. But don't forget, you can tell your colleagues who haven't actually caught the live one that it's available, and later on today it's going to be available on the site again to look at it and play it back. And the quality, isn't that right, Noel? The quality is going to be better than it was last week. We had a slight technical problem with that last week. We're sorting that out straight away, and it's going to be good. So you can watch it again if you want to, or you can get your colleagues to watch it, pass it among your friends as well, and also come back to us next week. We're going to pick up, I think, on communication again next week. There's no question we haven't dealt with this fully. We'll come back to communications next week again, and we'll pick up whenever the next topic is. We'll let you know over the emails. So in the meantime, if you have things that you'd like us to cover, comments that you'd like to make, if you would have any contribution to make yourselves to this, you can get on to us on the email. The email is down here on your screen, and we'd be delighted at that stage to work for you, because we're trying to make this as much as we can. This is not just our breakfast, it's your breakfast. And by the way, I had some people telling me that they're going to sit around literally and have the scones and croissants while they're listening to us as well. So we're doing some good for everybody. So listen, thank you very much. Have a really good day, have a good week, and slán go fóill.